Hey buddies, welcome to AmassGames. My name is Simon. This is our setup, play and review video for Disney Lorcana trading card game. Now, much referred to it as Lorcana, lots of people do. This is a two-player game, but you can actually play it with more players. I think it's probably best as a two, because otherwise you might just be picking on somebody who you think is vulnerable. And this is a particular game where it's about 30 minutes to play. It's an intro game to the sort of trading card universe. You can combine it with other decks. You can do as much as you want. However, you can have at most 4 different cards, or sorry, you can only have most have 4 of one card in the game. Everyone's going to have one of these things. This is a starter pack. This is Ursula's Return. I've got 2 decks here. Every game comes with some foil cards. Check out my unboxing, teaser, trailer, preview, video as well to see, of course, what those cards look like in a bit more detail. And as you can see, you will punch out these little 1 tokens, these damage tokens with a 3. And it's the first to reach 20 lore wins instantly. Okay, as you can see, there is 0 lore. You might have seen David's video in that first video as well, whereby he does say he thinks it's the first player advantage. We did weigh these decks as well. So just very briefly, I'll show you there's some various cards. We have got heroes, we'll come back onto them in a second. We happen to have allies, got princesses, which is another hero. We've got detectives, more allies, things which might not necessarily occur with any kind of relevance in this particular game in the starter deck. Items we can talk to you about briefly, and other cards which have a colour coding as well. Again, here we have Hercules, hence the kind of foil going on. Now, if you were watching this as a short, of course you are now watching the full video. Wherever you are watching it though, please make sure you head through to watch it over on YouTube, because this is on Instagram and on TikTok, etc. And you can find that via the description on YouTube too. However, in terms of comments, I do recommend it is best to always talk about that in YouTube regarding errata or descriptions, any kind of updates, as well as a Facebook, etc. So, you'll find more details about this on the podcast as well, but this is a game, like I said, let's talk to you about the theme. So we are Illuminaires in the wonderful realm of Lorcana. You are wielding magical ink to summon new versions of Disney characters, items and locations, which are called glimmers. These glimmers, some familiar, some fantastic, will help you as you race across Lorcana to find and collect missing pieces of lore. Endless quests await. Now this is a game whereby we'll have these various little tokens on the right hand side, these lore tokens, and what they represent is at the beginning of each round you'll get yourself 1 lore. So as you can see, it kind of snowballs and increases. Now it does say the best way to learn this game is have a friend teach you, and you can actually use an app in terms of any kind of questions you might have, in particular the kind of an app relating to these things. So we talked about these various things with characters. So what these represent is they're sending these characters, or you're sending these characters glimmers on quests into challenges as well. So this is going on a quest, you are now exhausting the card, turning it sideways, and now it's going to go on a quest, and that means it's going on that quest, which means it's going to basically be giving you 1 lore. Like I said, 20 lore wins the game. However, you don't necessarily have to do this, because if your opponent's doing this all the time, of course they're going to start winning. So you might want to sort of challenge them. Challenging them, you have this value over here. This is basically your kind of attack value and your defense value, and you want to try and of course make sure you're taking out the opponents when they've obviously got this symbol there as well. However, you can only attack someone who has exhausted, i.e. have their card like this, and they're doing that to try and get themselves points. So that's how it's going to work. We also have items as well. Item glimmers stay in play when you play them and give you basically special abilities during the game. So what you're going to have to think about is when is the best time to play certain cards. Everybody starts off with a hand size of 7. We'll talk to you about that in a second. We also have actions, so sometimes you'll see actions which are basically 1-time advantage and then they are discarded. So if you see any of those, you might want to make sure you have got those in your deck. Some people might not want to choose that, they might want to focus on heroes or whatever they are. But one thing you can notice about all of these cards is they have different values going on here. This is the amount of ink that it takes to actually bring them into play, and you're going to have to spend other cards to spend those inks values. So for example, this might be in your hand, and it's going to cost you 1. You need to spend 1 ink. This card is worth 1 ink. That card is worth 1 ink. That card is worth 1 ink. So what you're going to do is show everybody, hey, I'm getting rid of this card, place it face down into your inkwell, and this allows you now to bring out Robin Hood. That's how it's going to work. There are some other things to tell you as well. We have songs, so basically they're a special type of action. They allow a different way to play them without paying ink as well. So there's another thing you can do in this game. But that pretty much covers the key premise of the game. So for example, we've got other characters here like this. These do not have ink around them, which means you cannot play them as your inkwell. You must play them up here. There might be other things that maybe allow you to bring them out though. That is something to bear in mind. So finally, we have locations such as Thebes, which is a game which I own, which I'll be bringing you again to the channel as well soon. And location glimmers basically stay in play when you play them. Some give you special abilities during the game and others can interact with them in exciting ways as well. And there's various different symbols down here relating to key ink types. So this one, for example, is I think steel, and we've got other ones out here as well. So this one over here is something different. But all these symbols down the bottom actually, sorry, is about rarity. So that's a common, this happens to be an uncommon, etc. But there are different ink types as well to be aware of. So sometimes we have little ink types over here, and then of course that relates to various things. In this case, I think we're only playing with a steel in this particular deck, it seems to be. But there are sometimes occurrences where we have like this symbol come out. It's a tiny weeny little symbol down there, such as with Anna. And again, that's braving the storm, and that is to do with sapphire. And all of these cards have some flavor text. So after talking to Olaf, Anna marched into the unexpected storm to save Kristoff with some kind of information about obviously the credits as who made these things. Let's talk more a bit about these cards as well. So like I said, on the top left, what we have here is the cost, how much ink you're going to have to play that card. The inkwell, this shows you that you can play it as ink. We have the character's name, such as Anna. What we have next is that the kind of ink type, so sometimes it might be relating to that. The classifications, such as hero, there might be a card saying bring out a hero cheaper. Then we've got on to the next thing, such as strength, which I'll talk to you about. We've mentioned willpower, that value on the defense over right to the hand side. And lastly, their lore value. So you're trying to find cards I found, at least in my last 2 games, that have this to bring them into play. So you need to flip a coin to obviously see who starts. And then you're going to shuffle up your deck, and I'll move these to count off to the side for the time being. And then you're ready to kind of see how you wish to play. You'll find this in my How to Set Up Play and Review playlist. You'll find it in the AmassGames playlist, in the Family Mate playlist, and also in the sleeving playlist. I'm going to quickly sleeve a card. These are not the right size. I haven't got them to hand right now, but these are MTL sleeves. I think you can need the green or the purple ones. These are going to be slightly too big, but I am going to show you that they kind of fit okay. And that's a very good fit, to be honest. So that's a 63 by 88 mil, and of course will fit back in this little deck box as well. It's quite an interesting deck box. It looks like it's ripped, but that's just how it's done. Ravensburg in particular are going for very much a kind of plastic-free approach. So there's the irony of the fact I'm using sleeves. But again, these are cards you're going to be playing very frequently. And having played a game recently with a damaged card, everyone of course would know what that card is. So you're going to shuffle up your deck and draw 7 cards, and then we're ready to start. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now if you do start, there is a slight disadvantage, which I'll talk about in a second. So you've got your 7 cards, we've got this set to 0, and now I have a quick look at our cards. I'm just going to sort them by type, or number, sorry, and here we go. Got another 2 down here, there we go. So I can think about what I want to play. Firstly, I can ready any cards, but there's nothing to ready initially, but I'll come on to that for my second turn. I can set anything as well, I can draw some cards. So normally I would draw a card from my deck, but I won't be doing that on my first turn, but my opponent will. And now I can start doing my main phase. So once per turn in your main phase, you can place a card face down into your inkwell at any time. I don't know, let's say something powerful like a 5. So I'm going to show everybody, hey guys, I'm playing a 5. Place this down and I could bring out a card, but I don't have any cheap cards. So that's pretty much what I can do. There are other things I could do, such as character abilities, a location ability, an item ability, quest challenge, etc. But there is nothing else I can do on that first turn. So now it's their turn. Let's say it's back to my turn. I can now do something else. I can chuck another card into my inkwell. So now I've got 2 in here, and I can bring out a card. Now, to bring out a card, you need to spend your ink. So you're going to spend your 2 ink like this, and now this card is in play. Its ink is still wet. What that means is it cannot be attacked. It also cannot be used. It's now my opponent's turn. It's now back to my turn. I could choose to add a card into my inkwell. Let's say I add another one. Let's say this one here. This gets refreshed. I then choose to spend this card. I get myself 1 lore. So now I've got 1 lore, and in this instance, I've now obviously used up all my stuff. It's their turn, it's my turn. This refreshes, and I've got some characters in here in play again. So this is going to cost me 3. Maybe I just spend the 3 and bring this guy in. Next turn around, it's their turn, it's my turn again. I do 1, 2, and again I go up to here. But sorry, I want to bring this guy out because it was an extra 1. And as you can see, I'm up and running. So in a few more turns, I'm getting 3 per turn. So that's 7, 10, 13, 16. I've already got another person I can bring out cheaply as well. So next round I bring out another one. So that's something 4. So it's going to 8, 12. There's another guy with his cheap 2. So something it's 5. And about 4 rounds at most, perhaps, I could have won, which is why you might want to battle. And that's why you're choosing to spend, instead of getting lore, you're turning it sideways. And in this case, you're doing 1 damage. 1 damage might not seem very much, but it really depends what you're trying to do, because again, they're going to attack back, in this case for 3. this is the premise of the game. So what do I think of the game? Well, higher than average. I think it's a straightforward game. It's a lot more simpler and cleaner than other TCGs, which I'm not a big fan of, but I heard a bit about this and I want to try it out. And yeah, I definitely think it's very good. I think it's simplistic. I think it does its job very well. And I think if you're in the market for trying out a quick 2-player game that takes 20-30 minutes to play, I think you'll like it. But like I said, you're literally only bringing a card out or choosing to kind of attack. Like I said, if you don't ever attack, it's just being the first person to bring out cards. And as you saw, I didn't have any 1 cards initially, so I didn't obviously able to get any lore. It might be the case that there are some 1 cards that don't give you any lore, but I think we saw Robin Hood does give you a point. As for some of these locations, if you happen to have a character there, then what they can do is, gain 2 lore, or if you banish somebody, you gain 2 lore. In this case, Aladdin, 1, and of course has some lore. But again, you've got to wait until that card comes up. So you're having to work with what you have. If you think you're behind, you're going to start attacking. It might be the case that if you're attacking, you've actually got more strength than your opponent. I haven't looked into it in that much detail. But thanks very much for watching. This has been Disney Lorcana trading card game. And again, there are other decks you can play with. I think this is the 4th kind of version of it. As you can see, it's an 8+ game. Thanks very much for watching. Speak to you again soon. Enjoy the game and back to the table.